Hello, I'm Kerry from Mobilates. You might have met Leanne from Mobilates. She's taught a few sessions here, and I work with Leanne. And just like her, I teach people with chronic illnesses and problems. There's problems with your joints, arthritis, lots and lots of different things. But we're used to doing really gentle exercise for all sorts of people and all sorts of bodies. And I'd just like to say a thank you as well to Virtual Village Hall for having me today. It's my first time today. I know Leanne's done a couple and I've seen hers. So pleasure to meet you all through the screen. Hello Irene, I've seen you in Leanne's sessions. Nice to meet you. I've seen your name in Leanne's sessions. We're all seeing each other through this screen. It's a little strange because I'm used to seeing people on the other side or teaching in person. But it's going to be just the same sort of thing. We're going to be doing standing or sitting, and then we're going to lie down. Hello, Catherine. Nice to meet you. So we're going to get started. I'm going to put my chair just to the side so I can demonstrate in the chair and standing. And just bring the camera up to fit as much as myself in as I can. And I will have a little reminder to everybody to take it nice and easy. It is quite warm weather in the UK at the moment, so I hope you have a little drink at hand, some water, and do stop at any time if you need a break, if you need a drink, or you just want to watch for a little bit. It's all fine, it's all good. And I can't see you, so I don't know anything that you're struggling with. You can always pop it on the chat and I'll keep an eye on it and I'll definitely follow it up afterwards. But I'll try and give some extra reminders out for common things that I know can happen with movements. But if I'm moving my arm really up here and yours is lower, that's all fine. As long as you're moving, it's great. And if you're watching and you're going to move later, that's great too. So we're going to start standing or sitting. And if you're standing, your feet are hip width apart, the knees are nice and soft, and your toes are pointing forward. So you're trying to get parallel feet. And it's just the same if you're sitting. What we tend to say is put two fists between your knees, and that will give you the right sort of space. But just check again that your feet are pointing forwards. And if you're sitting, have at least half your bottom on the chair. And you can sit back a little further, but not your back against the floor unless you're against the chair, unless you're really tired. So I'm going to come up to standing. And we're all just going to stand and sit and make ourselves just a little bit taller first. So it's like your head has a magnet and it's being pulled up to the ceiling. And now put your hand on your belly and your hand on your back. So you look like this. And if you can only do one hand, if one hand doesn't like going behind, just have your hand on your belly. And we're going to tip the pubic bone towards our nose and do a little pelvic tilt. Just like that. And it's our belly muscles that are tightening. Our bottom muscles are relaxed. So if I show you from the side, just looks like that. It's a little rocking motion. So you can see my bottom just tucks under, my belly sort of scoops in. There's a bit of a lifting feeling. And then my bottom just sticks out. There's a little arch here. It varies a lot from person to person. But keep it small. If you're sitting, if I show you from the side, it's just that sort of movement. Really small. Just working your low spine, your lumbar, if we're getting fancy. And then make that movement smaller and smaller until there's hardly any movement at all. Until you're completely still. And that's around your neutral, sort of a good resting place for your spine when you're neither too tucked under or too stuck out. If it still feels a little tight, you might want to tuck under slightly. And then we're just going to let our shoulders go back a little bit. So if I show you from the side, you can see my shoulder here is quite forwards. So I'm just going to take it back so I can hold it so gently and squeezing the shoulder blades at the back so it just opens out here. Lovely. Now we're going to do our chin. So our chin is going to tuck back and it's like it's going up a little hill. So if I show you from the side, I'm just tucking back and then relaxing. And as I tuck back, you get a nice long chin. Oh, morning Debs, morning Chloe, pleasure to meet you. And it is a good morning. I've been looking forward to this. So as you do this, you'll feel you'll get all the extra chins. That's when you know you're doing it right. Extra prizes for more and more chins. So it's like that sort of full feeling as you press back. You're getting a lovely length on the back of your neck. Now we're just going to do that same thing. Hold it back gently, and then just start to turn your head, keeping it moving, so you don't have to hold it at any place. You're not looking right behind you. You're just doing it to a comfortable amount. And you can take it a little further if you want to. But keeping that squeeze on your shoulder blades at the back to keep your shoulders going back, your chest opening. And I do hope everyone is breathing as well. Just normal breath, but don't hold your breath. Bring it back to the centre. And then we're going to tilt the ear towards the shoulder. It's only towards, it's not to touch. So that chin's going back. Just ears going down. Bring it up. Down the other side. Now, if you're a very hypermobile person, you might find your neck goes way too far too quickly. You can always use your hand to hold it. If you're quite stiff in the neck, you'll find your shoulder likes to come along. Try and encourage that shoulder to stay down, because then these side muscles get a chance just to stretch out a little bit. And it's often different on different days. And then take it back to the centre. Still got this little tuck and long neck. We're going to dip our chin down slightly, so your head is just nodding forward slightly. And then we're just going to roll to the side and back to the centre. So it's a little neck roll, and it's a quarter turn each way. Now if you need to do it smaller like this, you can do it smaller. Some people like to do a bit more. I don't, I'm not taking mine any further. But if you like to go a little bit further round, you can do. As long as it feels good, it's not giving you any pain. And as you do this, just check in with that breath and try and slow it down a bit deeper. You can always blow out on your exhales. Through pursed lips, that's what slows everything down. Then slowly roll that head up, just checking in with the rest of your body, and everything still feels like it did when we stopped those pelvic tilts. We're going to start on your shoulders. So your shoulders roll forwards, up, back, and around. Trying to keep it slow and smooth. You might find you've got a few crunchy bits or a few sound effects as you do this. There's an awful lot of things going on in our shoulders. So we do tend to get those extra sort of noises, snap, crackle and pop. And try to let your arms just hang as you do this. Elbows don't need to lead the way, just let the arms hang down. If you're doing it sitting, just letting those arms hang down by your sides. That's lovely. I can just feel a big click going in then. And then we're going to just rest our shoulders for a moment. Then take them up towards your ears. I find everyone's excellent at doing this. And let them slowly melt down your back. Those shoulder blades have been squeezed gently. And they come up, breathe in. Slowly melting down as you breathe out. Up as you breathe in. Slowly down as you breathe out. Well done. First part of the warm-up. That's sorted. Hand on your belly, can be both hands or just one hand. We're going to breathe in quite deeply, and we're going to aim the breath into the belly. You'll know, because you'll feel from about here to here, it just swells up. So as you're breathing in and your lungs are taking in air, your diaphragm's pressing downwards so that can happen. As you breathe out, the diaphragm comes up, and your belly just goes in a little. And I mean the whole belly, not just this little front bit. So if I breathe in, you can see little lines on my t-shirt start to come out, and my hand moves out as you breathe out. You can see those creases come back. My hand goes back, show you from the side. And this is breathing to relax you, to calm you. Really nice thing to do if you're feeling a bit stressed. Now we're going to take our hand upwards. Just take one hand up, aiming for the side. Might be under boobs. So side of the chest, just on the ribs. This time we're going to hold our bellies at the bottom in a bit like you've got jeans on up to here and a little bit tight. So imagine they're zipped up. You're pulling this in gently. Now we're going to breathe in, keeping those tight jeans on, trying to breathe into our ribs and our back. See my hand go out to the side though. And then as you breathe out, those ribs go down, your belly might even pull in a bit more. If I put both hands on, you'll see both hands move out. Now you might only get a little bit of expansion as you breathe in and out. But this breath gets into the muscles between our ribs, and it also means we can control this area, and then we can do some movements with our legs whilst holding our belly in and our back nice and still. So just keeping that belly inwards, keeping your breath going, and if you're not sure, just breathing. We're going to just do single heel raises. So I'll move the camera down so you can see. And this is just lifting one heel up, placing it down, the other in, placing it down. So just coming up towards the ball and my foot, the toes. If you've got any issues with your toes, if you find this sort of bending really difficult, make it smaller just so it's really little movement. And we're trying to keep those ankles travelling forwards. If you're sitting, just the same. You can have your hands resting just here on your thighs. Trying to keep those knees the same distance apart. Now we can bring our arms into it. And it's just like a very slow walk. So it's the opposite arm to leg. That's always the hardest bit. And at the moment, my trunk is all staying very still. I'm going to start twisting. Just a little rotation, just like I'm looking from side to side as I'm walking along. I'm trying to keep that back nice and straight. Just take that down a little and show you in the chair. I can get my alternate ones on there. So I don't mind which side is going where, because you're getting the rotation, you're getting the arms and legs moving. And then just take your feet down to being flat. Now we're going to take up our arms. So one arm at a time, nice and soft. And you can see I'm coming out quite open. I'm just going to take them down. So they're coming up in front of me. I'm holding my belly in a little, so I'm keeping this nice and still, so I haven't got this sort of thing happening. And now let's try both arms with a breath. So breathe in through your nose. As you breathe out, those arms come up, and they're coming up in this soft shape. Now if your shoulders, maybe frozen shoulder, or they're stiff, and they don't want to come up this high, don't take them as high. So it might look more like this. But just so the softness in your hands and arms. Breathing out, in as they come down, out as they come up. And now, if you want to, this is an extra, you can come up on your heels. So it's that heel raise but both together. So as you come up with your arms, just coming up onto the balls of your feet. If that's too much, just leave it out. It's just a little balance challenge. Same in the chair, just bringing those heels off the floor. You can see my knees coming up and down. That's with my arms going a little lower. That's the last one. We're going to do a tree hug and just bend the spine. So if I show you from the side, I'm just softening my knees. I'm just going to take my arms around the front like I'm hugging a tree. And you can see my back starts to round at the top. I'm just going to let my head follow it. And then I'm going to take my elbows back. Now my back's starting to arch just a little bit at the top. I'm going to look up slowly. So that's doing it softly. And I don't mind which way your breath goes for this. You can breathe in as your elbows come out, back, and out as they come forward, scooping your belly in. That's a nice way. And if it needs to be a really small movement, if it's just like that, that's fine. If you want to make it bigger, you might want to bend down a bit further, open back a bit further, even taking your arms back. All good, as long as it works for you. And then come up to sitting or standing straight. We're going to do some side bends. If you're standing, just take your feet slightly wider, but still feet pointing forwards. Same if you're sitting, feet forwards. And then we're just bending from the waist, so we're not leaning right over, just bending this bit, sliding the hands down. You don't need to go very far. You see I'm breathing out and moving on my breath out. That often works really well. Exhaling on the sort of greater effort. But as long as you're breathing, it's all good. Now we're going to add in a little teapot move. Now Leanne showed this last week. So we're going to start just turning our hands, the front of my hands just facing you. Just turn your hands that way. And now just drawing them up the side and the other arm comes out. Head goes over. And it goes up as far as you want it to go. And now we're going to change it slightly. Now I'm going to turn my thumbs towards the camera, so you've got the side of my hand. And keep it that way as it slides up the body. Just get a little bit of rotation, the shoulders just externally rotating outwards. So very gentle. That's the last one of those. Now one hand on the hip. I don't mind if it's like this or like this, whatever works. The other hand, like it's about to give somebody something. And we're just going to draw this little infinity symbol, trying to keep that palm upwards as it sort of scoops over. And you see my body starts to lean over. I'm starting to rock from each foot. My knees are soft. Let it have a little dive around. You can make it bigger and really get your twists and turns in. Get a lovely little gentle rotation on the spine. You can keep it really, really small. And then we're going to change the movement. Take that hand towards the other hand and then open it out diagonally. Now that's quite a big movement. If you can't bring your arm up that high, just open it out lower. You can open out and your head can follow your hand. It might be that your arm goes back a little. If you're really flexible, you don't need to go too far to control your movement. I like to think of this almost like a sword, you know, you're sort of going into the sword holder and then you're opening your sword out in a flowing way. I don't know if they flow with swords, probably not. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to do this side in the chair, hand on hip, this other hand like it's about to serve you with something, a snack, a drink. And then we'll just take it over. We're bringing that palm back up high, letting your body move from side to side. If your arm wants to come out to the side, let it. So make it as big or as small as you want to. And now we're going for that sword, taking it out, opening up. And trying to open up those fingers as well. You can really stretch them, give them a little wiggle. I'm stiff on that shoulder today. I think I sleep on that side, sometimes it goes a bit funny. You might find it's different for you, different on one side than the other. And then we're going to go into a roll down, and we're going to do a hinged roll down. And for this is the safest roll down for any sort of back issues. I'll show you standing first. So I've got my legs as wide as the mat, and my feet are slightly turned out. I'm going to squat my bum back, almost like I'm going to have a little sit down in the high chair. And my back could be arched like this, but I'm going to pull my belly back a bit so my back is straight. Hands are on my thigh. I'm going to turn my hands inwards so it's more comfortable. It could be that way, I don't know. Now we're going to tuck our bottoms right under. So if you watch my bottom here, it just starts to tuck under, it's pelvic tuck again. And as I do it, my belly scoops inwards here. Then that spreads up my back, and then my head bends down. You can leave the head looking further up if that's too much. Then from your thighs, push upwards. So your legs straighten, and then your head is the last to come up. On the chair, it's the same. You're starting sitting, legs are wide, feet are outwards a little. And I'm going to hinge forward, so I'm hinging from the hips, keeping a straight back, hands resting firmly on the thighs. Now tucking this bottom under. First I'm going to straighten that back. Tucking the bottom under, so really rolling, you feel your bottom just rolling back there, scooping here, letting it ripple up your back, right to your head. Now my head's looking down. Press with my hands. Back straightens, heads up, give the shoulders a little roll. One more of those, and then we're going to make our way gently down to the floor. So it might be that you're doing a really shallow one, you're only standing like this, small bend, but you're still getting it. There's my bottom tucking under, ripples up to the shoulders, the head, and you come upwards. So make your way down to the floor. I'm going to change the camera, just so we're going looking downwards onto the mat, and it could be the bed. Just pull the duvet back so that you're on your sheet rather than your duvet. And a nice tip if you're on the floor is to have some cushions with you, even a full length pillow, especially if you find it really uncomfortable lying on your side. We're not doing anything on our side today, we're sticking to our backs. So we're going to start just sitting for a moment, and you can see my feet are facing each other. I've got my knees turned out, and I'm trying to get my back really sat up tall. You could be sat like this if that's more comfortable. Some people get a bit tight here when they're sitting like this, and it's quite a shallow bend. My knees aren't really up high near my chest. But feel free just to turn your legs outwards if that's comfortable, or you can mix it up, have one side out and the other side straight. So I'm going to start like that, and it's that same tucking under. So I'm just trying to tuck right under here without the rest of this collapsing, pulling my belly back. It's almost like there's a ball here that I'm curving over, and it's rolling towards the back of the mat. There, let my head go forwards, and I'm just going to roll forwards, straighten myself up. You can put your hands under here, that really helps. And really hold on, let your elbows come out to the side. Just C-curving that back, pulling your belly in, rolling forwards, and straightening up. And we'll do one more of those. C-curving, let it ripple up to your head, roll forwards. Come on. You might want to have a little drink. It is a hot day. We're going to roll down onto our backs with our knees bent. So you might roll down from this position, or you might turn onto your side and then roll back. I don't mind, whatever works for you. And if you like something underneath your head, I'm going to put a little neck cushion under there. Some people like a towel folded up. That's a nice small cushion. You want to be, so when you're lying back, your eyes are just looking towards the ceiling. If they're looking behind you and they're sort of tilting back, you might need something underneath your neck. And then just bring your legs in so everything's touching, your feet and your knees are touching. Turn your heels outwards. Take your toes forwards. And now you're in nice alignment. Just check in with what's in contact with the mat. So arms, I'm going to put those palms up slightly away just to open the chest out a little. My head's in contact with the pillow. My neck's just touching the pillow, definitely not the mat though. Right across the shoulders. and my back against here is against the mat. As we come down here, this is against the mat. Then there's a little gap under the small of my back. That's not against the mat. It's a tiny space. I can't reach under because that bit's touching. Just where my spine is. Just about here if I was transparent. Then my pelvis, that's definitely on the mat. And my feet. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, I want you to bring your pubic bone towards your nose using your belly muscles. As you do that, you feel yourself roll into the mat. So you really squinch your back into the mat. Now take a breath in and just let it roll away, just so you're relaxed. You can do that breath out. Pressing into the mat. And relax, let it roll away. One more, breathe in. As you breathe out, rolling that pelvis into the mat, your pubic bone's going towards your nose. Your belly muscles are doing the work, not your feet, not yet. And then relax. And that little space there is just behind you. This time we're going to slide a leg out. We're going to keep everything else nice and still. So take a breath in. Slide that foot gently forwards. And if it doesn't straighten your leg, it's fine, just let it. And then bring it back, trying to keep everything else here nice and still. So those belly muscles need to pull in and work. Breath in. As you breathe out, leg slides forwards. As you breathe in, it comes back. One more of these. Breathing out, slide that leg forwards. Breathing in, it comes back. Breathing out, slide the other leg forwards. Breathing in, it comes back. Now you can keep going just the legs, or we can bring the arms into it. So I'm just floating them up, palms are facing each other, fingers towards the ceiling. And this bit of my shoulder, let that sink across the mat. You don't need to reach away. Let me really feel the mat, a little wriggle. So this time we're going to do alternates again, try and get the coordination going. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, feel your belly muscles contract. I'm going to take my right leg sliding away, my left arm. I'm going to slide back. Mine's not going too far, I'm just going to keep it there. As I breathe in, bring them back. Breathing out, left leg, right arm. I don't mind if you go the other way around, but I'm wanting to go a bit further. And bring them back. Going to go again. And as you're doing this, all the tension, all the effort should be here. We're trying to keep it out of our jaw, so just have a little wriggle of your jaw. Check it's all soft. Just relax in the shoulders. Oh, my arms will go back then. It's hard to think of everything at once as you're doing it, isn't it? And we're going to do a couple more. Lovely. And then we're just going to bring that pelvic tilt back, but bring your feet in a little further. I'm going to take it just a little higher. Hands into the floor. Take a breath in. Now tilt that pubic bone towards your nose. This time your feet are closer. You can press into them and just take your bottom off the floor a little bit. You can see all this part of my back's pressing against here. My belly is scooping in. I can feel it in my thighs. Press into your feet, and I can squeeze my glutes a little bit here. My bum's got a little gentle squeeze. And then relax and gently let it roll back. One more of those. Breath in. As you breathe out, rock your pubic bone towards your nose. Pressing gently into the floor with your feet, even your hands, squeezing your glutes. Just taking it up. We're not going any further today. And then slowly just taking it back towards the mat. One vertebrae at a time, keeping that bottom tucked under till the end. And then we're going to roll onto our sides and push ourselves up. And just take yourself to sitting comfortably. Legs are wide, they don't have to be super wide. Sitting as upright as you can. I'm going to have my hands behind me just to support me and bring my chest upwards a little. And just let your feet have a little rock from side to side. I'm just trying to get my whole legs in the camera. They're quite wide, so they're almost blending into the mat. So you can see my legs are just doing that little rotation. And then you can let them both go outwards, both go in. Just gently taking it in and out. You might only have a little bit of rotation one way. And then I'm just going to take a little wider. I'm going to point lengthen my legs and toes. Trying not to get cramp in my feet. And just pulling my toes back towards my nose. That's it. One more time. And then take yourself to a comfortable position. Might be the same position. Might be like this, like this, like this. Whatever works for you. Take your arms out to the side, palms outwards. We can do a breath in and take our arms up to wherever they'll go. And then bring your hands down to the front of your chest, breathing out. You're done. Well done, everybody. If you've got any questions to ask, do pop them in the chat. And I'll be back here next week. I think I'm here on Wednesday at 4:30. That's going to be my regular slot. Thank you very much to Virtual Village Hall. That was an absolute pleasure. Lovely to meet you all. I'll see you all next time.